Hey, Rockets, it's Mrs. Wilkenbush. We are back with Warriors into the Wild, Chapter 20. This is getting really good, you guys. And we're like over halfway there. We're like coming up to the figuring out what's going to happen. So I can't wait to get started. I hope you are too. Here we go, Chapter 20. By the time Firepaw returned, the camp was starting to look a little better. Parties of cats had clearly been patching and repairing continuously throughout the day. Frostfur and Goldenflower were still busy fortifying the nursery walls, but the outer wall looked solid and secure once more. Firepaw trotted across the clearing to see if there was any fresh kill around. He passed Sandpaw and Dustpaw, who were preparing to leave in the next patrol. Sorry, mewed Sandpaw as Firepaw sniffed hopefully around the eating area. We ate the last 2 mice. Firepaw shrugged. He would catch something for himself later. He headed back to the apprentice's den where Graypaw was sitting with his back resting against a tree step licking his forepaw. Where's Ravenpaw? Firepaw asked as he sat down. Not back from his task yet, replied Graypaw. Look at that! He held out his paw for Firepaw to inspect. The pad was torn and bleeding. Tigerclaw sent me fishing, and I stepped on a sharp stone in the stream. That looks pretty deep. You should get Spotted Leaf to take a look at it, Firepaw advised. Where did Tigerclaw send Ravenpaw, by the way? Don't know. I was up to my belly in cold water, muttered Graypaw. He stood up and looked away towards Spotted Leaf's den. Firepaw settled down, his eyes fixed on the entrance to the camp, and waited for Ravenpaw. After overhearing the warriors' conversation last night, he couldn't shake the feeling that something dreadful was going to happen to his friend. His heart lurched as he saw Tigerclaw enter the camp alone. He waited longer. The moon was high in the sky. Surely Ravenpaw should be back by now. Firepaw found himself wishing he'd spoken to Bluestar when he had the chance. He could see Darkstripe and Longtail guarding her den now, and he certainly didn't want them to overhear his concerns. Tigerclaw brought back fresh kill, which he was sharing with White Storm outside the warrior's den. Firepaw realized he was very hungry. Perhaps he should go and hunt. He might come across Ravenpaw outside the camp. As he wondered what to do, Firepaw saw Ravenpaw trotting through the entrance of the camp. A thrill of relief raced through him, and not just because Ravenpaw was holding fresh kill between his teeth. The apprentice came straight over to Firepaw and dropped a mouthful of food on the ground. Enough for all 3 of us, he mewed proudly, and it should taste extra good. It's from the Shadow Clan territory. Firepaw gasped. You hunted in Shadow Clan territory? That was my task, Ravenpaw explained. Tigerclaw sent you into enemy territory to hunt? Firepaw could hardly believe it. We must tell Bluestar. That was too dangerous. At the mention of Bluestar's name, Ravenpaw shook his head. His eyes looked hunted and shadowed with fear. Look, just keep quiet, okay? He hissed. I survived. I even caught some prey. That's all there is to it. You survived this time, Firepaw spat. Shh! Tigerclaw's looking. Just eat your share and keep quiet, snapped Ravenpaw. Firepaw shrugged and took a piece of the fresh kill. Ravenpaw ate quickly, avoiding Firepaw's eyes. Shall we save some for Graypaw? He asked after a while. He went to see Spotted Leaf, Firepaw mumbled through a mouthful. He cut his paw. I don't know when he'll be back. Well, save him some whatever you want, replied Ravenpaw, suddenly sounding worn up. I'm tired. I need to sleep. He stood up and pushed his way into the den. Firepaw stayed outside, watching the rest of the camp prepare for the night. He was going to have to tell Ravenpaw what he'd overheard in the forest last night. He needed to know just how much danger he was in. Tigerclaw was laying beside White Storm, sharing tongues, but with one eye fixed on the apprentice's den. Firepaw yawned to show Tigerclaw how exhausted he was. Then he got to his paws and followed Ravenpaw inside. Ravenpaw was asleep, but Firepaw could tell from his twitching paws and whiskers that he was dreaming. He knew it wasn't a good dream by the tiny mewls and squeaks that Ravenpaw was making. Suddenly, the black cap leaped to his paws. His eyes stretched wide in terror. His fur was standing on end, and his back was arched. Ravenpaw, Firepaw meowed in alarm. Calm down. You're in our den. It's only me. There's only me here. Ravenpaw looked around wildly. It's just me. Ravenpaw blinked and seemed to recognize his friend. He collapsed onto his bed. Ravenpaw, mewed Firepaw seriously, there's something you need to know. Something I heard last night when I was out looking for the wild garlic. Ravenpaw looked away, still trembling from his dream, but Firepaw persisted. Ravenpaw, I heard Tiger Claw telling Darkstripe and Longtail that you betrayed ThunderClan. He told them that you slipped away during the trip to Mothermouth and told ShadowClan that the camp was unguarded. Ravenpaw spun around to face Firepaw. But I didn't, he exclaimed, horrified. Of course you didn't, Firepaw agreed. But Darkstripe and Longtail believed that you did, and Tiger Claw persuaded them that they should get rid of you. Ravenpaw was speechless, his breath coming in gasps. Why would Tiger Claw want to get rid of you, Ravenpaw? Firepaw asked gently. He's one of the clan's strongest warriors. What threat are you to him? Fire suspected he already knew the answer, but he wanted to hear the truth from Ravenpaw's own mouth. He waited while Ravenpaw fumbled for the words. At last, the black apprentice crawled closer to Firepaw and whispered hoarsely into his ear. Because the RiverClan deputy didn't kill Redtail, Tiger Claw did. Firepaw nodded silently, and Ravenpaw continued, his whisper cracking with tension. Redtail killed the RiverClan deputy. So Tiger Claw didn't kill Hart. Firepaw couldn't help interrupting. Ravenpaw shook his head. No, he didn't. After Redtail had killed Oakhart, Tiger Claw ordered me back to camp. I wanted to stay, but he yelled at me to go, so I ran into the trees. I should have carried on running, but I couldn't leave while they were fighting. I turned and crept back to see if Tiger Claw needed help. By the time I got near, all the RavenClan warriors had fled, leaving just Redtail and Tiger Claw. Redtail was watching the last warrior running away, and Tiger Claw... Ravenpaw paused and then gulped. Tiger Claw jumped on him. He sank his teeth into the back of his neck, and Redtail fell to the ground dead. That's when I ran. I don't know if Tiger Claw saw me or not. I just kept running until I got back to the camp. Why didn't you tell Blue Star? Firepaw pressed gently. Would she have believed me? Ravenpaw's eyes rolled wildly. Do you believe me? Of course I do, Firepaw mewed. He looked Ravenpaw between the ears in an effort to calm and comfort his friend. He was going to have to find another opportunity to tell Blue Star about Tiger Claw's treachery. Don't worry, I'll sort it out, he promised. Meanwhile, make sure you stick close to me or Greypaw. Does Greypaw know about them wanting to get rid of me? Not yet, but I'll have to tell him. Ravenpaw settled silently onto his belly and stared ahead. It's okay, Ravenpaw, Firepaw purred, touching the skinny black body with his nose. I'll help you get out of this. Greypaw headed into the den at dawn. Sandpaw and Dustpaw had returned from their patrol a while ago and were asleep in their nest. Hi, mewed Greypaw, sounding more cheerful than he had for days. Firepaw woke at once. You sound better, he purred. Greypaw licked Firepaw's ear. Spotted Leaf put some gunk on my cut and made me lie still for hours. I must have fallen asleep. By the way, I hope that Chaffinch out there was for me. I was starving. It was. Ravenpaw caught it yesterday. Tiger Claw sent him into... Shut up, you Sandpaw. Some of us are trying to sleep. Greypaw rolled his eyes. Come on, Firepaw, he mewed. Brittleface has had her kits. Let's go and visit them. Firepaw purred with pleasure. At last, something for ThunderClan to celebrate. He looked down at Ravenpaw, who was still sleeping, and padded out of the den. With Greypaw, he trotted across the clearing toward the nursery. The rice eyes palpable with warmth, and he stretched appreciatively, reveling in the suppleness of his spine and the strength of his legs. Stop showing off, Greypaw called over his shoulder. Firepaw stopped stretching and bounded after his friend. White Storm was sitting outside the nursery guarding the entrance. Have you two come to see the new kids? He meowed as Firepaw and Greypaw approached. Firepaw nodded. Only one at a time, and you'll have to wait. Blue Star's with her now, White Storm told them. Well, you go first, Firepaw offered. I'll go and see Yellowfang while I'm waiting. He dipped his head respectfully to White Storm and headed off toward Yellowfang's nest. The old cat was washing behind her ears, her eyes half closed with concentration. Don't tell me you're expecting rain, Firepaw teased. Yellowfang looked up. You've been listening to too many elders' tales, she meowed. What would be the point of a cat washing its ears if it's only to get rained on anyway? Firepaw's whiskers twitched in amusement. Are you going to see Brindleface's new litter? He asked. Yellowfang stiffened and shook her head. I don't think I'd be very welcome, she growled. But you know that you saved, Firepaw began. A she-cat is very protective of newborns, especially when it's her first litter. I think I'll stay away. Yellowfang replied in a tone that invited no argument. As you wish, but I'm going to see them. It must be a good sign having new kits in the camp. Yellowfang shrugged. Sometimes, she muttered darkly. Firepaw turned and trotted back to the nursery. Clouds had covered the sun, making the air turn fresher. A fierce breeze tugged at his fur and rustled the leaves around the clearing. Blue Star was sitting outside the nursery. Behind her, Graypaw's tail was just disappearing into the narrow entrance. Firepaw, she greeted. Have you come to see ThunderClan's newest warriors? The ThunderClan leader sounded tired and sad. Firepaw was surprised. Surely the kits weren't good news for the Tiger Clan. Yes, I have, he replied. Well, when you finish, come and see me in my den. Yes, Blue Star. Firepaw mewed as she walked slowly away. He felt his fur prickle. Here was another chance to speak to Blue Star alone. Perhaps the Star Clan was on his side after all. Graypaw crawled out of the nursery entrance. They're really cute, he mewed, but I'm starving now. I'm off to find some fresh kill. I'll save some for you if I find any. He blinked affectionately at Firepaw and bounded away. Firepaw purred goodbye and looked up at Whitestorm, who nodded his permission for him to enter the nursery. Firepaw squeezed through the tiny entrance. 4 tiny kits huddled warmly in brindle faces deeply lined fur. Their fur was pale gray with darker flecks, just like their mother, except for one tiny dark gray tom. They mewled and squirmed beside Brittleface's belly, their eyes shut tight. How are you feeling? Firepaw whispered to her. A little tired, answered Brindleface. She looked down proudly at her litter. But the kits are strong and healthy. ThunderClan is lucky to have them, Firepaw purred. I was just talking to them about Yellowfang. Brindleface didn't answer, and Firepaw couldn't miss the look of worry that flashed in her eyes as she nudged a straying kit closer to her. Firepaw felt a tremor of anxiety in his belly. Blue Star may have accepted Yellowfang into ThunderClan, but it looked like the old cat was still not trusted by all of the clan. He touched his nose affectionately to Brindleface's flank, then turned and made his way out of the clearing. The clan leader was waiting for Firepaw at the entrance to her den. Longtail sat at her side. The pale tabby warrior stared hard at Firepaw as he approached. Firepaw ignored his gaze and looked expectantly at Blue Star. Come inside, she meowed, turning to lead the way. Firepaw trotted after her. Longtail immediately stood up as if to follow them. Blue Star looked back at him over her shoulder. I think I'll be safe enough with young Firepaw, she mewed. Longtail looked uncertain for a moment. Then he sat down again outside the entrance. Firepaw had never been inside Blue Star's den. He padded after her through the lichen that draped its entrance. Brindleface's kits are lovely, he purred. Blue Star looked serious. Lovely they may be, but they mean more mouths to feed, and the season of leaf bearer will be here soon. Then she glanced at Firepaw, who was unable to hide his surprise at her melancholy tone. Oh, don't listen to me, meowed Blue Star, shaking her head impatiently. The first cold wind always worries me. Come and make yourself comfortable. She tipped her head toward the dry, sandy floor. Firepaw dropped on his belly and stretched his paws out in front of him. Blue Star circled slowly on her mossy nest. I'm still aching from our training session yesterday, she admitted, when she finally settled down and curled her tail around her paws. You fought well, young one. For once, Firepaw didn't stop to bask in her praise. His heart was thumping. This was the perfect moment to tell the leader of his fears about Tiger Claw. He lifted his chins, ready to speak. But it was Blue Star who spoke first, staring past him at the wall of her den. I can still smell the stale stench of Shadow Clan in the camp, she murmured. I hoped never to see the day when our enemy broke into the heart of Thunder Clan. Firepaw nodded in silent agreement, sensing that Blue Star was going to say more. And so many deaths, she sighed. First Redtail, then Lionheart. I think Star Clan, at least for the warriors we have left, are strong and loyal like them. At least with Tiger Claw's deputy, ThunderClan may still be able to defend itself. Firepaw's heart plummeted, and an icy chill cut deep into him as Blue Star went on. There was a time when Tiger Claw was a young warrior, and that I feared for the strength of his passion. Such energy can need care of channeling, but now I am proud to see how much respect the clan has for him. I know he is ambitious, but his ambition makes him one of the bravest cats I have ever had the honor to fight alongside. Firepaw knew at once that he could not tell Blue Star his suspicions about Tiger Claw. Not when Blue Star looked to her deputy to protect the whole clan. He would have to save Ravenpaw himself. He took a deep breath and blinked slowly, so when Blue Star turned and looked directly into his eyes, no trace of shock and disappointment remained. Her next words were quiet and full of concern. You know Broken Star will return. He made it clear at the gathering that he wants hunting rights in all of the territories. We fought him off once. We can do it again, Firepaw insisted. That's true, Blue Star acknowledged with a weary nod. StarClan will honor your courage, young Firepaw. She paused and licked a healing wound on her side. I think you ought to know that. In the battle with the Raps, it was not my 5th life that I lost, but my 7th. Firepaw sat bolt right up and shocked. Blue Star went on. I have let the clan believe it was my 5th because I don't want them to fear for my safety. But 2 more lives, and I will have to leave you to join StarClan. Firepaw's mind was racing. Why was she telling him this? Thank you for sharing with me, Blue Star, he purred respectfully. Blue Star nodded. I am tired now, she rasped. Off you go. And Firepaw, I don't expect you to repeat this conversation to anyone. Of course, Blue Star, Firepaw replied as he nosed his way out through the curtain of Lycan. I think it's Lichen. Let's see.
Lycan.
I was right the first time. Longtail was sitting by the entrance. Firepaw stepped past him and made his way toward his den. He didn't know which part of the conversation with Blue Star had been more bewildering. He was stopped in his tracks by the yell of a horror coming from the nursery. Phosphor came sprinting into the clearing, her terror bristling and her eyes wide with alarm. My kits! Someone has taken my kits! Tiger Claw bounded over to her. He called the clan. Quick! Search the camp! Whitestorm, stay where you are. Warriors patrol the camp boundary. Apprentices, search every den. Firepaw rushed to the nearest den. The warriors pushed his way inside. It was empty. He scrambled through the bedding wet with his paws, but there was neither sight nor scent of Phosphor's kits. He charged outside and headed for his own den. Ravenpaw and Greypaw were already inside, pushing aside their nests, sniffing every corner. Dustpaw and Sandpaw were searching the elder's den. Firepaw left them to it and charged from one clump of grass to another, pushing his muzzle into them, ignoring the nettles that stung his nose. There was no sign of the kits anywhere. He looked around the camp boundary. Warriors paced back and forth, urgently sniffing the air. Suddenly, Firepaw spotted Yellow Fang in the distance. She was pushing her way through an unguarded part of the fern wall. She must have found a scent, he thought, and raced toward her as the tail disappeared into the greenery. By the time he arrived at the fern wall, she had gone. He sniffed the air. No kit scent, just the bitter smell of Yellow Fang's fear. What was she afraid of, Firepaw wondered. Tiger Claw's yowl sounded from the bushes behind the nursery. All the cats raced over to him, headed by Frostfur. They crowded as closely as they could, jostling to see through the dense undergrowth. Firepaw nosed his way forward and saw Tiger Claw standing over a motionless bundle of dappled fur. Spotted Leaf. Firepaw stared in disbelief at the lifeless body. Fury rose in him like the dark cloud. He felt his young blood roaring in his ears. Who had done this? Blue Star stepped through the crowd and leaned over the medicine cat. She has been killed by a warrior blow, she meowed softly. Firepaw craned his neck and saw a single wound on the back of Spotted Leaf's neck. His head swam, and suddenly he was unable to see clearly. Through his grief, Firepaw heard a moment at the back of the crowd that swelled into this single piercing yell. Yellow Fang is gone. Whew, this is getting really good, you guys. I can't wait to go on to the next chapter. Until next time.